The twin suns of Lumina set slowly over the horizon. Their fading light touched the tall crystal towers of Prismatica, the great city of the Luminaran people. Once these towers had glowed with bright blue light. Now they were dull and gray. Nari walked through the empty streets toward the Grand Hall. Her body, made of living crystal, did not shine like it should. Instead, it absorbed the dying light around her. This was not normal for her kind. Luminarans usually reflected light in beautiful patterns, but these were not normal times. Nari was young for a Luminaran, only 300 years old. As junior science advisor, she had no voice in the High Council meetings. She could only watch and listen. Today she knew the news would be bad. The Grand Hall was a huge dome made of the purest crystal. Inside, 12 elders sat in a circle. Their crystal bodies were old and cloudy. Elder Miko, the oldest at 2,000 years, spoke first. "The core readings are worse," she said. Her voice made the crystal walls hum. "The energy that gives our world life is almost gone. We have one planetary cycle left, then our power source will die. And so will we all." No one argued. The Luminarans were a logical people. They did not waste time with useless hope. For hundreds of years they had tried to fix their dying core. Their best scientists had failed. Their advanced crystal technology could not save them. "We must prepare for the end," said Elder Dury. "We will record our history and achievements. Future visitors to this system will know the Luminarans once existed here." Nari felt something strange inside her crystal form. The humans would later call it anger. The Luminarans were giving up. Their once great civilization, which had spread across 20 star systems, was now reduced to just their home planet. And soon even that would be gone. After the meeting, Nari did not go home. Instead, she went to her secret place. At the edge of the city stood an old communication tower. No one used it anymore. For the past year, Nari had been working there in secret. The tower room was small. Inside sat a machine Nari had built piece by piece. It was against council rules to build new technology without approval. The council thought it was a waste of energy, but Nari had done it anyway. "Our people think in straight lines," she said to herself as she checked the machine. "If a solution cannot be found using known methods, they believe no solution exists." Nari was different. Her crystal structure had a rare flaw that made her think in unusual ways. Other Luminarans saw this as a defect. Tonight, it might save their species. The machine was a powerful transmitter. It could send a message farther than any Luminaran communication device had ever done before. Nari had designed it to reach beyond their galaxy, into the unknown darkness of space. Outside, the last light of the suns disappeared. The city grew dark. Only emergency power crystals gave any light now. Energy conservation was the law. But tonight, Nari would break that law. She took out a small crystal she had prepared. Inside it, she had stored everything about Lumina and its people, their biology, their history, their technology, and most importantly, the problem with their dying core. "Is anyone out there?" she whispered as she placed the crystal into the machine. "Can anyone help us?" The machine hummed to life. It would use more power in the next hour than Nari was allowed to use in a year. The council would know someone had broken the energy laws. They would find her, but it would be too late to stop the message. Nari watched as the machine powered up. Blue light, so rare now on Lumina, filled the small room. The crystal began to glow and spin as the transmitter read its contents. Then, with a high-pitched sound, the message shot upward, through the roof of the tower, through the thin atmosphere of Lumina, and out into the emptiness of space. It would travel for years, perhaps centuries, before anyone might hear it, if anyone was out there to hear it at all. Nari stood at the window and looked up at the stars. The Luminaran people had explored many of them in the past. They had built great things, and now they would die because they could not think differently. "There must be others out there," she said. "Others who do not think like us, who might see a solution we cannot." The machine went silent. The message was sent. Soon, the energy monitors would track the power surge to this tower. They would find Nari. The punishment would be severe. But for the first time in her life, Nari felt something new. Something no Luminaran had felt in generations. Hope. She touched her crystal hand to the window, looking at the distant stars. Somewhere out there, perhaps someone would hear her cry for help. Someone different. Someone who could do what her people could not. Please, she whispered to the silent stars. Please find us before it's too late. Tay rubbed his tired eyes and sipped his cold coffee. The night shift at the Europa Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Most nights, he just watched, the endless stream of normal space noise on his screens. Tonight was different. That's not right, he muttered, leaning closer to the monitor. The signal pattern pulsed in a way he had never seen before. It repeated perfectly every 47 seconds. Nature didn't make patterns like that. Only intelligent beings did. Tay pressed the comm button. Director Song, please come to Station 4 immediately. Director Song arrived minutes later, her face showing concern. She rarely got called during night shifts. What is it, Tay? This signal, Director. It's not random. Look at the pattern. Director Song studied the screen, her eyes widening. Where is it coming from? The Andromeda Galaxy. Tay's voice was barely a whisper. Over 2 million light-years away. That's impossible. No signal could maintain integrity over that distance. This one did. Tay pointed to the screen. And it's meant for us to find. Within hours, every scientist on Europa was studying the signal. They sent it to Earth the next day. The greatest minds on the planet worked to decode the strange message. It took 3 months of non-stop work. Dr. Hanna stood before the United Space Coalition Council in Seoul. As lead xenolinguist, she had made the breakthrough that helped decode the alien message. It contains mathematical formulas first, she explained to the room of serious faces. Then biological data. The senders are crystalline life forms. Their bodies are made of living crystal that conducts energy. Their planet's core is dying. Without it, they will all die too. Admiral Kang walked to the large window overlooking Earth. His uniform was perfectly pressed, his face stern. Even if this message is real, we can't help them. Andromeda is too far. Our new FTL drive could get us there, said Engineer Doe. The math works. On paper, yes, Admiral Kang replied, but we've only tested it in our solar system. A journey to Andromeda would take months even with FTL. And what could we do if we got there? Asked Science Director Park. These beings have technology that lets them send signals across galaxies. They're far more advanced than us. The room fell silent. Then Captain Jisoo stood up. She was younger than most of the other leaders, but her record was perfect. Sometimes the smartest person can't solve a problem because they think about it the same way every time, she said. These crystal beings have had centuries to solve their problem. If they haven't found an answer, maybe they need someone who thinks differently. You're volunteering? Admiral Kang asked. Jisoo nodded. The horizon is ready. My crew is the best trained for first contact. We've prepared for this moment our whole careers. It could be a trap, warned Security Chief Min. Or it could be the most important mission in human history, Jisoo replied. A chance to save an entire species. The debate lasted 2 more days. In the end, the coalition agreed. Humanity would answer the call. The next 6 weeks were a blur of activity. The Horizon, Earth's newest and fastest ship, was prepared for the journey. Captain Jisoo selected her crew carefully. Dr. Hyun, the xenobiologist, studied the Luminaran biological data day and night. Their crystal bodies conduct energy like our bodies use blood, he explained during briefings. Their planet's core powers them all. Engineer Jun modified their equipment to work with crystal technology. Their tech is beautiful, he told Jisoo. It's like they grew their machines instead of building them. The day of launch came quickly. Thousands gathered to watch the Horizon leave Earth orbit. It was humanity's first mission to another galaxy. This is either the bravest or most foolish thing humans have ever done, Admiral Kang said as he shook Jisoo's hand. Good luck, Captain. On the bridge, Jisoo looked at her crew. They were scared but ready. Humans had always explored, always reached out into the unknown. Now they would go farther than ever before. Time to FTL jump is 2 minutes, said pilot. Bin. His hands moved quickly over the controls. All systems ready, reported engineer Jun. Jisoo took her captain's chair. Begin final countdown. The Horizon's new engines hummed louder. The stars on the view screen began to stretch. FTL in 3, 2, 1. The ship jumped. For the first time, humans traveled faster than light toward another galaxy. The journey would take 3 months to reach the Luminaran homeworld. In her private quarters that night, Jisoo recorded in her log, "We don't know what we'll find when we reach Lumina. We don't know if we can help these crystal beings. We don't even know if they're still alive after all this time. But humans have always looked up at the stars and wondered if we're alone. Now we know we're not. And when someone calls for help, we answer, no matter how far we have to go." As the Horizon raced through space back on Earth, humans looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, their ship carried the best of humanity toward a distant world in need. Everyone hoped they would return someday with stories of the crystal people they had met and saved. The Horizon slowed as it came out of FTL travel. The ship's engines hummed softly as it entered the Luminaran star system. On the bridge, the crew stared at the main screen in silence. "There it is," whispered Captain Jisoo. "Lumina." The planet hung in the darkness of space like a faded jewel. Once, according to the message they had received, it had glowed with bright blue light. Now it looked dull and sick. "Life signs?" asked Jisoo. "Yes, Captain," replied Science Officer Kim. "Many thousands of crystalline life forms. Their cities are still active, but energy levels are very low." Security Officer Yoon suddenly straightened at his station. "Captain, we're being scanned. They've seen us." The crew waited nervously. This was the moment humanity had prepared for. First contact with an alien species. The communication screen lit up. A face appeared. At least they thought it was a face. It was made of blue-gray crystal, with deeper areas that might be eyes. The crystal being stared at them for a long moment. "You came," it said finally. The voice sounded like gentle bells. "We did not believe anyone would hear our message, or that anyone could come so far." Jisoo stepped forward. "I am Captain Jisoo of the Earthship Horizon. We received your call for help from another galaxy," the crystal being said. "Impossible, and yet here you are." The next day, the humans prepared to visit the planet's surface. Captain Jisoo selected a small team. Herself, Dr. Hyun, the xenobiologist, Engineer Jun, and Communications Specialist Min. "Remember," Jisoo told them as they entered the shuttle, "we represent all of humanity. Everything we do will be the first impression these beings have of Earth." The shuttle landed in a special area prepared by the Luminarans. As the humans stepped out, they saw a group of crystal beings waiting for them. The tallest one stepped forward. "I am Elder Miko of the High Council," she said. "Welcome to Lumina." The humans felt strange under the gaze of the crystal beings. The Luminarans moved very little, standing almost perfectly still as they observed their visitors. "Your bodies," said Elder Miko, "they change shape as you move. So unstable. Yet, you traveled between galaxies safely." Jisoo smiled and gave a small bow. "Our flexibility gives us certain advantages." The Luminarans led the humans to a beautiful crystal building. Inside, Jisoo was surprised to see a familiar face, the young Luminaran who had sent the original message. "This is Nari," said Elder Miko. "Though she broke our laws by sending the unauthorized transmission, she will serve as your guide and translator." Nari's crystal form seemed to dim slightly. "The Council has been kind in their punishment." Later, as Dr. Hyun studied Luminaran biology in their archives, Nari explained their people's history. "We once had colonies on 20 worlds," she said. "But as our core began to fail, we had to abandon them. Now we are all here, waiting for the end." Dr. Hyun looked at the brain scans of the Luminarans. "Your neural patterns are fascinating. They form perfect geometric shapes, so ordered and structured. Of course, replied Nari. How else would thought occur? Dr. Hune smiled. Human brains are much more chaotic. Our thoughts jump around, make strange connections. Nari seemed confused by this idea. That sounds inefficient. Sometimes the quickest path to a solution isn't a straight line, Hyun replied. On the third day of the visit, disaster struck. Engineer Jun was examining the city's power systems when alarms began to sound. Crystal storm approaching from the east, announced a Luminaran voice. All citizens must move to protected areas. Jun ran outside and saw dark clouds gathering. They sparkled with crystal fragments that flew through the air like knives. The storm will hit the eastern quadrant first, said Nari, appearing beside him. Where your team is staying. Can't you stop it? Asked Jun. Our shield generators no longer have enough power, Nari explained. We must evacuate, Jun thought quickly. What if we hook up the Horizon's deflector systems to your shield network? Our technology works differently, but the basics should be compatible. Nari stared at him. Such an adaptation would take weeks to calculate and test. Or, said Jun, grabbing his toolkit, about 20 minutes of creative guesswork. As the storm grew closer, Jun worked frantically. He connected human technology to Luminaran crystal systems in ways that made Nari's crystal form pulse with concern. This cannot work, she insisted. The energy patterns do not align correctly. Sometimes you have to trust your gut, Jun replied, making final adjustments. Ready or not, here we go. He activated the system. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then a shimmer appeared in the air, growing stronger. A shield of energy formed, just as the crystal storm hit. Above them, for the first time in centuries, the crystal spires of Prismatica shone with brilliant blue light that reached up toward the stars. The twin suns rose over Lumina, shining on a world reborn. 3 months had passed since the humans, and Luminarans had saved the planet's core. Now Prismatica gleamed with bright blue light once more. The streets were full of Luminarans whose crystal bodies sparkled with renewed energy. In areas that had been empty for hundreds of years, new, crystal growths pushed up from the ground. Old buildings repaired themselves as energy flowed through the planet once again. Life was returning to Lumina. In the Great Hall, Captain Jisoo and her crew stood before the High Council. The time had come for the humans to return to Earth. Elder. Miko stood at the center of the council, her crystal form glowing with strong, steady light. Before you leave, Elder Miko said, we must speak of what has happened here. The hall was filled with Luminarans. Many had come to see the humans one last time. For more than 500 years, Elder Miko continued, we tried to save our dying world. Our best scientists used every method we knew. We failed. She paused, looking at each human in turn. Then you came, not because you had to, but because someone asked for help. Nari stood nearby, no longer in trouble for sending the message. Now she was honored as the one who saved her people. You succeeded not because your technology is better than ours, said Elder Miko. You succeeded because you think in ways we cannot. Your minds jump from idea to idea. You try things that seem illogical. You act on feelings rather than perfect calculations. Captain Jisoo stepped forward. We came to help because that's what humans do. We reach out to those in need. And in doing so you have changed us, said Elder Miko. Already our youngest Luminarans are thinking differently. They ask what-if questions that no Luminaran has asked in 1,000 years. The council had prepared a gift for the humans, data crystals containing Luminaran knowledge about crystal technology, energy systems, and biology. In return, Earth would welcome Luminaran visitors who wanted to learn human ways of thinking. This is the beginning of a great friendship between our worlds, said Jisoo as she accepted the gift. That evening, the humans prepared for their journey home. The Horizon would carry 5 Luminaran ambassadors back to Earth. They were the first of their kind to leave their galaxy. Dr. Hyun stood on a high crystal balcony, watching the twin suns set. The sky turned beautiful shades of purple and gold. He heard someone approach and turned to see Nari. "I wanted to thank you again," she said. "For hearing our call." Dr. Hyun smiled. "I'm glad we did. Our worlds are both better for it." They stood quietly, watching the suns disappear below the horizon. The crystal city began to glow with inner light. "I've noticed something interesting," said Nari after a while. "Our young ones are changing. They ask questions we never thought to ask. They try new things without calculating all possibilities first. They're becoming a bit more like humans," said Dr. Hyun. "Yes, and I've noticed your crew is changing too. They are more careful now. They think before acting. They see patterns where before they saw only chaos." Dr. Hyun laughed softly. "You're right. We're becoming a bit more like Luminarans." "Perhaps," said Nari. "That is how life should be. Different kinds of beings learning from each other. Growing together." Early the next morning, the humans boarded the horizon. The entire city came to watch them leave. Captain Jisoo stood at the main viewport on the bridge, looking down at the glowing blue planet below. "It's beautiful now," said Pilot Bin as he prepared the ship for departure. "It always was," replied Jisoo. "We just helped it remember." The Luminaran ambassadors were settled in their quarters. All systems were ready. It was time to go home. "Set course for Earth," Jisoo ordered. As the horizon moved away from Lumina, Jisoo thought about everything that had happened. They had traveled farther than any humans before them. They had met an alien species and saved them from extinction, and in the process, both peoples had learned from each other. In her private cabin that night, Jisoo recorded in her captain's log, "We came to Lumina thinking we would save a dying species. We did that. But we found something more important. We found that our differences make us stronger together. The Luminarans needed our creative chaos as much as we needed their ordered thinking. Perhaps this is why life exists in so many forms, across the universe, not just to survive alone, but to find each other, to connect, to share, to grow together." The horizon engaged its FTL drive. The brilliant light of Lumina stretched into a blue streak and then vanished as the ship jumped to faster than light speed. The journey home would take 3 months. But Earth was no longer the only home for humanity. Now they had friends among the stars. And somewhere in the vast darkness between galaxies, other messages might be waiting. Other calls for help. Other chances to reach out across the void and say, "You are not alone." The end.